Good morning, Eddie. I just want to ask you firstly about the draw later this morning for the knockout phase playoff round in the Champions League. You've had some relatively short journeys across Europe so far in your 2 seasons in the Champions League. Would it be your preference again to have Monaco rather than Azerbaijan, apart from anything else, because of the travel?
Possibly nix it in a sense of the travel, I think. But whoever we get, I think it's going to be a great tie, a great moment for us. Really, really pleased with Wednesday. Really pleased that we showed really good defensive qualities and a great display to come back and chase the game really effectively. So I think we go into that next draw with real positivity. So yeah, excited with whoever we get, really.
It's obviously a significant thing for the club to be in the knockout stage of the Champions League. And given that meaning behind it, is it something that you'll watch together? Will it be an event at the training ground draw?
I think I'll be preparing for Liverpool, to be honest. I think the players are reporting a little bit later. We've given them some extra sleep, much needed after midweek. So, no, I don't think there'll be much in terms of sort of spectacle, but we'll find out who we get and then we'll prepare accordingly.
And just want to ask you about Bruno, who you were able to take with you to Paris and then name on the bench. He didn't get on, but if you were to describe his level of fitness and the injury and potential availability for Liverpool, what would you say?
Slightly unknown at the moment. I'd say he did really well to be with us in Paris, and I think that's more down to the fact that he was desperate to be there and support the players. We did very, very light training and he participated in that, but it was next to nothing, to be honest. He trained with us yesterday, but that was more of a test. So look, let's see how he is today. This will be the day really where we decide.
Thank you. Keith?
How's Joe Linton? Eddie, I know he travelled out to sort of support you guys and watch, and I think you said that you were maybe going to get a second opinion. Have you had that yet?
Yeah, so he flew on to Barcelona after the game to get an injection into his groin. It was good news with Joe. The specialist feels he only needs one injection, and that means that his return could be quite quick. So we're looking at weeks, not months. Slightly unsure as to the exact date yet, but positive news.
Both of them are so important to you, Joe Linton and Bruno, and they've done so well over the last few years. But it must have really buoyed you that you made a number of changes. You changed the formation as well, but it felt like a number of the players came in and took their chance. And I feel like you've been kind of asking for that, and that just gives you real food for thought, I guess, in terms of your selection moving forward.
Yeah, I think we've always felt we've got a really strong squad, and we've got players that can come in and play at the very highest level, and that's not easy to do. So that was a really positive night, as you say, for the squad, for the likes of Joe Willock, Jacob Ramsey, Anthony Elanga. Really positive performances. And hopefully that means that everyone feels better about the squad that we have. We've always believed in its quality. And we've proved that we can play without some really, really big players, which is of course hugely important. We can't be reliant on any one player.
Doesn't get much easier in terms of the fixtures. Liverpool away tomorrow. First time you've played them since everything that went on in the summer with Alexander Isak leaving. When you think back at that, and obviously you've moved on, but is there a sense of maybe frustration the way that played out?
I think you hit the nail on the head. We've moved on, and Liverpool have moved on. It's irrelevant what happened then. It's about what happens now, and for us, it's about making sure that we become as strong as we can in every transfer window. So we're not looking back, we're very much looking forward.
Thanks.
Andy?
Morning, Eddie. I just wanted to open up with a little bit of love, a quote from Steven Gerrard in midweek. And he said, "Eddie Howe's brilliant, I love him," relating to the performance on Wednesday. In a world where pundits can be quite negative, maybe, and quite critical, how nice is it to hear that sort of praise for yourself and as well for the performance of the players in midweek?
Well, thanks for that, Andy. That's always...
It came from Stephen, not me.
No, but you're bringing some light to the room, so I appreciate that. You're always one I can rely on. Well, it's a mutual love. For me, Steven Gerrard was one of my favourite players that I ever saw play. I thought he was an incredible footballer, so I'll take any praise that I can get, so it's very appreciated. But I just think it was a credit to the players on Wednesday with how they adapted to a very difficult start to the game. I think it was brilliant response to that moment.
Just so earlier, it's 4 years to the day since Bruno Guimaraes signed for Newcastle United. I just wondered, so I'm going to put you on the spot, if you can sum up in a phrase the impact that he's had since the day he walked through the door here at Newcastle United to today.
Yeah, I think very difficult to sort of sum it up quite quickly, because I think he has been an incredible signing. I think you never quite know. I'd never met Bruno before, so it was, a big signing, because we needed Bruno to come in and be the player that he has been. But you never quite know how the dynamic and the chemistry is going to work. But from very early, from the day that he turned up in his suit, where he showed great respect for the moment in his career, I thought, he's a good person, and he's gone on to great things. It's been great to see his development, actually, from the player that he was when he arrived to the player that he is today. And then you see the success that he's had in helping us win a trophy and playing for Brazil. And just the way that he's done it as well, the way he's embraced the supporters, the way he always, I think, responds well in any moment. I think he's been a class act, and full credit to himself.
Just finally on Liverpool this week, and not the greatest record necessarily down at Anfield, but with everything that's happening around Liverpool this season, has Anfield perhaps lost a little bit of, I'm going to phrase this right, the fear factor maybe that it had in previous seasons, would you say, or not?
I think that's only a question I can answer after the game, not before. I think we found Anfield a difficult environment to find results. Yeah. I think some of our performances there actually have been pretty good in my tenure here, but the results haven't matched that, and we've been close a few times. But it is a tough place to play. It is take away the stadium and the environment. Liverpool have been very good over the years, and respect them as a football team, and we've got to be at our absolute best to get anything here.
Thank you. Nisha?
Morning, Eddie. You said there that it's been Anfield's been a difficult environment to get results, but going into that game on the back of such a strong performance at the European champions, does that just give you that little bit extra belief that you all might need going into that game?
Well, it should do. That's a high elite game that we had on Wednesday. I mean, you could feel that from very early in the game, how good Paris were, and then how good we had to be to stay with them in that game. And as I say, a tough start, penalty, all the emotions of that, we felt was unjust. Concede a goal not long after, and then the players gradually grew into the game and we showed our qualities. And I think at the end, bounce of the ball goes a different way. We end up winning that game. So I think we've proved that we can play away from home. There should be no fear in that from us. But the consistency, the ability to do it at any environment, at any ground, week in, week out, that's where we've got to get to.
And is there any update on Tino Livramento and his injury and when he might be back?
He's doing well. I think he's having a scan today, a second scan to see the progress of his hamstring. Fingers crossed it's good news, and I think if it is, he'll be back out running outside. I think we're still probably 5 to 6 weeks away. We're looking at an early March return, providing everything goes well.
And just finally, with the transfer window closing very soon, are you still expecting it to be quiet here? Are you expecting any movement at all in these latter stages? You said it was going to be, a watching brief until late on. Yeah,
I don't anticipate that changing, but with time left, obviously there's still a chance for that to be the case.
Thank you. Damien Sparman?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
2 questions in one, really. With Joe and Bruno out the other night, Jacob Ramsey stepped in and did very well for you. Are we starting to see the best of him now? And also, when we spoke to Anthony Gordon in Paris the other night, he said the biggest challenge for him as a new player coming in was becoming Newcastle fit. Do we have to make allowances for players for that?
That's nice of Ant to say that. Because I do remember, obviously, Ant coming to the club and going through that transition, really, where every club asks slightly different things, and we ask our players to be super fit to execute the style of football that we want to execute. We want to attack really hard one way, we want to defend together the other, so there's a big physical demand here for the players. I do think new players sometimes need a period to adjust. I'd say some, not everyone, but there's some maybe that come with different physical conditions. So Jacob Ramsey, for example, got injured straight away, and then from that moment it's very tough to get back to those high fitness levels straight away. Same obviously for Johan Wissa with his injury. So yeah, I think you just have to take it on an individual basis. The difficulty, and I'm sorry to repeat myself, that we've had this year is just zero training time, and I think that makes it much harder for the new players to transition because they're not getting the instinctive work they need, the repetition, the consistent drills that we would deliver to make them not have to think too much and just become a Newcastle player slowly and gradually. So I think that's been the biggest challenge for them.
Thanks, Damien. We've got to Lee, Chris and Luke, please.
Eddie, just on the formation the other night, that was obviously something that took everybody by surprise. Have you got anything else lined up in the remainder of the season that could throw opposition? Because obviously 4-3-3 seems to be the go-to formation, but I guess you would reason that you've got plenty of the things up your sleeve.
Yeah, we always, even the 4-3-3, everyone can see it as a 4-3-3, but we play it slightly different ways in different games. So it's very rarely the same system in consecutive games because the opponents are different, and then we have to slightly just tweak things. But yes, you're right. Wednesday was a clear change in system. That's something we've done before this season, so it's not new. And we've had varying success with it. I thought Marseille was a good example of that, where we changed system, and I thought we were really strong. And then the game got away from us a little bit after half-time, but I think there's pros and cons to every system. There's no one system that solves everything. If there was, we'd be playing that one.
Thank you. Chris?
Morning, Eddie. It's obviously a relentless schedule, and nobody's really epitomised that more than Malik Chow. I think it might be 31 straight games he started without, hopefully not jinxing him and his availability. How impressive has that been since he's come in, and the fact that he's just been able to keep going and performing?
Yeah, I'm always slightly reluctant to talk on that subject for the reasons that you just said at the start. But Malik's done really well. Just looking at his performances, he's been very consistent. He's been very, very good physically. A slightly different position than say or physical outputs than some of the other positions that you have to play. But in saying that, with how we play, sometimes he covers good ground, and I think he's done really, really well. I couldn't be more pleased with him and his performances, his professionalism, and how he looks after himself. He's super professional. One of the first in and last out to make sure that he's on top of himself. So there's no sort of coincidence with that run of games that he's had and how well he's performed.
Luke?
There was a lot of anger and animosity around this fixture the last time you played Liverpool, but largely due to the Alexander Isak saga. Are those emotions still there? Is there any lingering bad feeling?
Well, certainly not on our side. I think we're just preparing a game of football. I think all of the stuff that happened in the summer is very much in the past, and I think when you're in football you realise you can't ever look back for too long because the game doesn't allow you to. It's always about tomorrow and making sure you're ready for future battles that you have on the pitch. So all our focus since the summer transfer window ended has been on trying to make sure we're strong, looking after ourselves, not worrying about any other club.
We've got to Ian, Jordan and Joe, please. Ian?
Morning, Eddie. Good to see you.
Good morning.
You touched on it that the PSG performance suggests that a lot of people are overplaying an away jinx, away phobia. Would a win at Anfield banish that theory once and for all?
That's a good question. I think I've tried to say in various press conferences, the away and home thing, we've got to take out of our psychology. I think it's very fair that you ask the question yourselves, but for us it's making sure we perform in every game, regardless of where we play. I'm not thinking too deeply about home and away. Yes, the conditions are slightly different, but the football's the same, and we've just got to make sure we're competitive and we do the right things, we get the basics right. And after a difficult start against Paris, we did, and we showed we can play. We showed brilliant qualities, I think, in that game. On the ball, we were really good, especially on transitions. Athletically, we looked excellent. And we kept going to the end. There was no dropping deep towards the end of the game we were strong. We were trying to win the game. They were trying to win the game. I thought it was a great advert for the competition we were playing in.
And in a season of big games, does Liverpool v Newcastle Anfield still feel one of the biggest?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great fixture. Historically, it's been a great fixture. We want to try and do that justice by being the best we can ourselves.
Jordan.
As well as Bruno, Jacob Murphy was back in the squad in midweek but didn't make it off the bench. Is he fit in contention for tomorrow?
He's getting there. Yeah, he's made some good progress in the last few days. So I think yesterday was his first full training session. Again, another player that was there, with us. I was slightly reluctant to use him. Wanted to give him a little bit more time. We're in that delicate position where we've welcomed a few players back. We've got to make sure they're fully fit before we introduce them to the pitch. Willisula will be in the same boat. He's not really trained, and we've got to make sure that he's right when we use him.
Apologies. Joe.
Hi Eddie. A lot of fans' complaints this year have been about the pressing intensity away from home. You cast your mind about the Carabao Cup final. It was a very intense, very brave performance from your team. Is that something you'll be asking from your team this week against Liverpool?
By and large, it's something that we've asked for every week. Our pressing idea has not changed. Our delivery might not have been as consistent this season. In part, I think, due to the number of games that we've had. A lot of teams going quite direct against us. So yeah, the challenge, sometimes it's easy to label that at the team and the players, but with a little bit more understanding, I think it's not always as clear as that, or as easy to label that at the lads. The lads want to execute what we ask them to do, and they want to give their best. They want to give their physical best every game. Sometimes that isn't possible, and then you still need to find a way to win the game, and they're the challenges that we need to find answers to. But certainly I don't think I can accuse, this is my own opinion, the players of a lack of effort in terms of our off-the-ball game plan.
Thanks, Joe. Go to Craig, Kieran and then to Dominic, please.
Morning, Eddie. Without revisiting the mechanics of the Alex transfer, can you just talk to us about how difficult it's been and what challenges there's been adapting in what is feeling like something of a transitional season through the middle of the park in a post-Alex world? How tough has that been? And as a coach, how do you deal with that with the personnel you've now got?
Yeah, I think it's an ever challenging thing, Craig, because obviously you lose a player like Alex, and let's put this right. I mean, Liverpool paid the money they did for him because he's an outstanding footballer, an unbelievable talent, and we were privileged to have him for the years that we had him, and we loved working with him. He was an outstanding player. So then when you take that player away from your team, it's going to change the dynamics, that's for sure. And then you've got to try and find a way of not necessarily replacing him, but finding another player or players that can still make the team really effective. And we're sort of in that moment where we've been trying to do that all season, and I think the guys that have come in have done a very, very good job. But we're still finding ways, as I said earlier, to try and get the best out of the new players that we've signed without training, with very minimal time to do any work with them. And a lot of that's been video analysis, talking to them, which is great, but it's not the same as actually getting the work on the training pitch. So I think they've done really well, and they're trying to give the team the best that they have, and we are trying to adapt.
Kieran?
Just ask, obviously the group seemed to really come together during that saga. How do you reflect on that? Do you think it, in a weird way, brought everyone closer together, having to kind of carry on without such a key player?
I think it was new for us. I don't think we've been in that situation before. I don't know, because it was going on through pre-season, so I'm not necessarily sure it brought us closer together. I don't think it's that kind of moment, really. It was a distraction, if I'm honest, while we're trying to glue the squad together for the season and trying to impose our culture and how we want to play. It was the most talked about thing in world football, I think, in that moment. So ideally we wouldn't have that every summer.
Thank you. Dominic?
Hi, Eddie. You described January as a season-defining month. I know you've got one game left, but how do you reflect on it?
Probably that February is going to be a season-defining month. That's probably what I'd say.
Martin, then short and a finish, please.
Morning, Eddie. how hectic is a week like this with a bit of a low after the Aston Villa loss, the travel and then the praise for the PSG performance? And were you and your staff stung by the suggestion the team didn't have that kind of tactical versatility in its locker?
I didn't know that was the. I didn't know that was the messages. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult week. The 3 games in 6 days is one thing, but the turnaround between the Paris game and the Liverpool game with the travel both ways, that's going to be tough for the players, and we're going to need to make sure we handle today right. Hopefully we got yesterday right and then Saturday right, because we're going to need every ounce of energy that we have to go to Anfield to perform. So on that side, that's going to be down to today and tomorrow, I think, to make sure we maximise those 2 days. A tactical flexibility, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I respect everyone's opinion. I don't necessarily have to agree with it. Tactical flexibility is what we try to show in every game to win our next game, and we'll be changing things that people won't see. So, but that's fine. That's the way the world is.
Thank you. Sean, to finish, please.
Morning, Eddie. Hugh actually spoke this week about how close he was to joining Newcastle in the summer. Obviously, he's playing for Liverpool tomorrow. He's obviously a player that you like and rate. What have you made of his start at Liverpool, and what qualities will he possess that you need to sort of keep out tomorrow?
Very, very good player. I think it's well known. I've liked him for a number of years. Tried to sign him twice. Yeah, he's got a bit of everything. He's great movement, can score off both feet, good in the air, dribbles with the ball really well. So I think he's someone we're going to have to do really, really well against. I thought we did relatively well against him in the first game, but of course he scored. But yeah, big talent.